Why deep-sea creatures get creepier the deeper you go. The ocean surface at night is a mirror of darkness. Beneath it, something changes. The water accepts the descent without resistance, cool and indifferent. Light begins to fade almost immediately. At 10 meters, the reds disappear first. Blood looks green here. At 20 meters, oranges follow. The spectrum narrows with every stroke downward. The familiar world, the one built on color and clarity, begins to dissolve. This is where strangeness begins. Not suddenly, not violently, but gradually, as the defining features of surface life slip away. The deeper the descent, the less the ocean resembles the world above, and the creatures that live in these depths reflect that transformation. Their forms become strange because their world is strange. They are shaped by absence. Between 200 and 1,000 meters lies the mesopelagic zone. Sunlight reaches here, but barely. It arrives weak and blue, a distant rumor of the surface. This is the realm of half-light, where vision still matters, but must work harder. Eyes grow larger. Fish at this depth have bulging, upward-facing eyes that capture every photon drifting down from above. They search for shadows, the dark silhouettes of prey moving against the faint glow overhead. This is shadow hunting, a reversal of surface logic. Bioluminescence begins here as well. Soft glows appear along the undersides of certain fish, a phenomenon called counter-illumination. By matching the faint light filtering down, these creatures erase their own shadows. They become invisible to predators below. It is a quiet kind of camouflage, elegant and patient. Bodies start to shift. Silvery scales catch and scatter light. Some fish become translucent, their organs small dark points suspended in nearly invisible flesh. Adaptations are subtle at this depth, but they mark the beginning of transformation. The rules are changing. Below 1,000 meters, the bathypelagic zone begins. Here, sunlight does not reach, not even a trace. The darkness is absolute and permanent. Life at this depth has never known the sun. Everything changes in response. Eyes, once large, now serve little purpose. Some creatures lose them entirely. Others develop eyes that detect only bioluminescence, specialized for the language of light that replaces vision. Energy is precious here, and nothing is wasted on senses that no longer serve. Bodies become elongated, almost abstract. Teeth grow disproportionately long, curving and translucent. Jaws unhinge to impossible angles, allowing creatures to consume prey larger than themselves. Meals are rare in the deep. When food appears, it must not escape. Movements slow. Metabolism drops. Life here operates on a different clock, one measured in stillness and efficiency. Creatures drift more than swim, conserving energy in an environment where every calorie matters. The frantic pace of surface life has no place here. Transparency becomes common. Without light to reveal them, many animals evolve bodies like glass. Their muscles, their bones, their very substance turns nearly invisible. Only their eyes remain visible. Small, dark spheres suspended in water, watching, waiting. The weight of the ocean is extraordinary at depth. At 4,000 meters, the pressure exceeds 400 times that of the surface. It would crush human bones. It would collapse lungs and rupture cells. But life here is built differently. Bodies are soft, compressible, filled with fluids that do not compress. There are no air spaces to collapse, no rigid structures to shatter. The pressure is equalized from within. To these creatures, It is simply the normal state of existence. The cold is constant. Temperatures hover just above freezing, unchanging throughout the year. There are no seasons here, no day or night in the traditional sense. Time moves differently when conditions never vary. Sound travels differently too. Without the interference of surface noise, low-frequency sounds can travel thousands of kilometers. But the deep is largely quiet. There are no breaking waves, no splashing, no weather. Just the occasional click of a hunting-toothed whale, the low moan of distant seismic activity. Mostly there is silence. In this environment, the familiar physics of life no longer apply. Evolution responds with forms that seem alien, impossible, but they are neither. They are simply calibrated to a world humans rarely see. In the absence of sunlight, life creates its own. Bioluminescence is everywhere in the deep ocean, produced by chemical reactions within specialized organs called photophores. Most deep-sea creatures possess this ability in some form. Light serves many purposes here. Some fish use it as a lure, dangling glowing appendages to attract curious prey. Others flash in patterns to communicate with potential mates, each species with its own distinct code. The deep ocean is filled with these quiet conversations, invisible to those without the right receptors. Counter-illumination continues even in total darkness. By producing light that matches the bioluminescence of the water around them, creatures erase their silhouettes once again. The strategy shifts from matching sunlight to matching the ambient glow of other organisms. Some animals use light as a weapon. When threatened, certain squid release clouds of bioluminescent fluid, blinding predators in a burst of unexpected brightness. Others use light as a decoy, detaching glowing body parts that continue to pulse and distract while the creature escapes into darkness. Light becomes vision, it becomes camouflage, it becomes communication and defense and deception. In the deep, bioluminescence is not decoration. It is survival translated into photons. The word creepy belongs to the surface world. It describes a response to the unfamiliar, the unsettling, the uncanny. But these creatures are not designed to comfort human eyes. They are not designed with any observer in mind at all. What appears monstrous is often simply efficient. Enormous jaws make sense when prey is scarce. Transparent bodies make sense when concealment means survival. Elongated teeth make sense when a meal must be secured on first contact. These are not aberrations, they are solutions. Evolution does not optimize for beauty. It optimizes for reproduction, for survival, for the transmission of genetic information across generations. In an environment as extreme as the deep ocean, this process produces forms that maximize function in conditions humans find incomprehensible. The discomfort they inspire is a measure of distance. Not physical distance, but experiential. These creatures exist so far outside human context that they challenge intuition. Their strangeness is not a quality they possess. It is a gap in understanding, a reminder of how narrow the band of familiar life truly is. The anglerfish is perhaps the most recognized example. Females carry a bioluminescent lure extending from their heads, a modified dorsal fin that glows with bacteria-generated light. They hang motionless in the water column, waiting for prey to investigate. Males are much smaller, and in some species, they fuse permanently to the female, becoming little more than parasitic reproductive organs. The gulper eel has a mouth that comprises nearly a third of its body length. Its jaw opens to extraordinary dimensions, allowing it to swallow prey much larger than itself. The rest of its body tapers to a thin, whip-like tail tipped with a glowing organ. It drifts through the darkness like a living net. The vampire squid is neither squid nor octopus, but something in between. Its webbed arms are lined with fleshy spines, and it can invert its body to form a defensive cloak covered in bioluminescent photophores. Despite its name, it feeds primarily on detritus, the constant rain of dead material falling from the upper ocean. Glass squid, jellies with transparent bells, translucent snailfish with gelatinous bodies. All of them appear more like concepts than creatures. They seem barely there, existing at the edge of visibility even when light is present. These are not monsters. They are neighbors in an ecosystem humans have only begun to explore. Their forms make sense within the context of their world, even when they defy the logic of ours. On the surface, many creatures display patterns, colors, and structures that humans find pleasing. Birds with brilliant plumage, fish with symmetrical stripes, flowers with intricate geometries. These features often serve purposes: mate attraction, warning signals, pollination, but they also happen to align with human aesthetic preferences. The deep ocean has no such overlap. There is no light to display colors, no visual courtship, no advantage to symmetry when form follows the demands of energy conservation and prey capture above all else. Bodies become tools. Fins reduce to thin filaments, skin thins to transparency, bones soften. Everything unnecessary is discarded. What remains is a kind of purity, function stripped of ornament, survival distilled to its essential components. This is evolution in its rawest form. Without the moderating influence of abundant resources or visual communication, natural selection carves away everything except what works. The results challenge human expectations because they were never meant to meet them. The Hadal Zone, the deepest part of the ocean, begins at 6,000 meters. Only trenches reach these depths. The Mariana Trench descends past 11,000 meters, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. At this depth, the pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. Life exists even here. Snailfish, amphipods, sea cucumbers, they move through a landscape of cold, darkness, and crushing pressure, feeding on the organic matter that drifts down from the distant surface. They have never experienced light. They never will. In many ways, the deep ocean resembles an extraterrestrial environment more than a terrestrial one. It is isolated, extreme, and governed by principles that do not apply elsewhere on Earth. If life can adapt to these conditions, it suggests life could adapt to others. Frozen moons with subsurface oceans, distant worlds locked in permanent darkness. The creatures of the deep are not creepy. They are pioneers. They are survivors in a realm that should, by all surface logic, be uninhabitable. Their existence expands the boundaries of what life can be, where it can persist, how it can transform in response to selective pressure. The deeper the ocean becomes, the less it resembles anything familiar. Light fades into memory, then disappears entirely. Pressure mounts, temperature drops, food becomes scarce, time stretches. The ocean holds them in silence, and they ask nothing of the world above.